All right, I think everybody's in that's going to be joining us today. I'm Andy Purcell with Total Computer Solutions. I'm one of the business consultants within the organization. Today, it is my pleasure to begin and talk with you today about how to fully protect your Office 365 cloud environment. And to help me do that today is Michael Brown. Michael's one of our engineering team members and does a super job working with this on an everyday basis. And I'm sure we'll do an equally good job of telling us about it today as he captains our ship for the next half hour or so of the presentation. Michael's been with us for a number of years, has spent an entire career worth of experience in the IT industry, handles some of our higher end and more complex projects and implementations, as well as some of our troubleshooting that's on the more difficult side of things. So Michael, if you would take it away, let us know all of your wisdom on Office 365, and we look forward to learning from you.
Thank you for that introduction, Andy. Hello, welcome to our webinar on how to fully protect your data in the Office 365 cloud. Andy gave me a great intro, just a little bit more about me. I've been in the MSP field for 20 years. In the last 10, I've been working with TCS, doing a variety of things. I've got various certifications in Cisco, CompTIA, and Microsoft. And as Andy said, I spent a lot of time in the 365 world. Just a quick overview of what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about the importance of having an MSP partner, why you'd want to do that, some of the benefits. We're going to jump right into the different ways of securing our email and how we can accomplish that best. And finally, we're going to talk about 365 backups. Is there a need? And if so, what are some of the ways we can do that? So there are quite a few benefits to having an MSP as a partner. Generally, MSPs have experts on staff who have certifications in Office 365 and have extensive experience and in-depth knowledge of the various modules and tools that are available. If you've taken a dive into Office 365 at all, I'm sure you quickly learn that there's a lot to it, from email to OneDrive, from SharePoint to Azure, from Teams to Yammer, and on it goes. An MSP is more than someplace to just call when you need help. As certified experts in Office 365, we can partner with you and guide you with advice and strategies on how to better utilize the functionality of Office 365 to better suit your needs. Generally, an MSP can resolve an issue with Office 365 quicker than those who aren't as experienced with the technology. And we can do it either on-site or remotely, which is something that's increasingly popular and important over the last year. And lastly, you pay the same price for Office 365 subscriptions and licenses as you would if you purchase directly from Microsoft. So there are no additional markups or increased fees when going through an MSP. When you put all these benefits together, it makes partnering with an MSP a more attractive option. And speaking of licensing, I wanted to take a few minutes to touch on the many various and slightly confusing licensing options that Microsoft makes available. Taking a look at this graphic, it shows some of the more common Office 365 licenses that our customers use. You can find this fairly easily if you Google Office 365 pricing plans. And the comparison chart shows several of the Office 365 licenses, their price per month, and the services included. So for example, if you're looking at a Microsoft 365 Business Basic license for $5 a month, we can see pretty quickly that the license doesn't come with the Office suite or any apps. This license includes a mailbox in the cloud, Teams, SharePoint, and OneDrive services. To access a mailbox, you'd either use webmail or an email application that you already own. You might purchase this license if you already own a copy of Office, whether it be a volume license for multiple users or retail copies that you purchase with your PC. Or you may be perfectly comfortable using webmail for email access and don't want the added expense of purchasing the Office apps. The Microsoft Business Standard and Premium are the next tiers up. For an additional price per month, you get all the same services as Basic Edition, but you also get the Office apps. You get Word and Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, all the usual Office goodies. There are a couple of really nice benefits to get in Office through the monthly subscription. First, the software is always up to date. So if Microsoft releases a newer version, you'll be upgraded for free, no cost to you, and you'll always be on the latest version. And you won't take a chance of getting a version or more behind as time goes on. Secondly, Microsoft licenses you to install Office on up to 5 devices. So that's really convenient if you have a work PC, a home PC, maybe a couple of tablets that you'd like to have Office on. You can install it on these devices, no additional fee. They just make it really convenient to use Office 365. There are a couple of other online plans. These are no-frills subscriptions for very low prices. As you can see, the online plan and online plan 2 don't come with any services or apps. Basically, you get only a mailbox in the cloud. The main difference between these two is the online plan is limited to 50 gigs, and the online plan 2 allows you to grow up to 100 gigs. And if your mailbox grows larger than that, you can take advantage of the online archive. You can move mail to the online archive, get it out of your mailbox, but it's still available to you over the web. Microsoft also offers enterprise level licensing in the form of E1, E2, E3, and E5 licenses. These offer the same basic services, email, SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, and much, much more depending on which license you purchase. Items available with these licenses can include the ability to send encrypted emails, the ability to prevent certain documents from being downloaded or forwarded. Legal hold and other compliance tools are also available, along with a whole slew of productivity apps and analytics. You'll notice in true Microsoft fashion, they have named 2 types of licenses virtually identical. You've got the Office 365 E1, E3, you've got the Microsoft 365 E3 and E5. They're very similarly named, but they contain different services. The primary difference in the Office 365 and the Microsoft 365 is the Microsoft 365 contains Windows 10 licenses and enterprise mobility and security, which is the ability to manage mobile devices. You can wipe mobile phones remotely, as an example. Lastly, I just wanted to touch on the nonprofit licenses, which may be of interest to some of you. If you qualify for nonprofit licenses, Microsoft makes these monthly fees very attractive, from completely free to just a few dollars a month. And as you can see here, with the apps and services that come with each. And if you're interested in qualifying, we have techs on staff that are experienced in helping companies apply for nonprofit licensing. Much like your phone's app store, Microsoft also has an app store for Office 365 add-on apps. It's a pretty huge repository, tons and tons of apps you can download and install. Some are free, some aren't. It's definitely worth checking out. You know, if you were thinking you wanted to add SurveyMonkey to your teams, there's a free app for that. So worth checking out. Well, that was a lot about licensing. I hope it didn't put you to sleep. But if you're going to migrate to Office 365, you're going to want to pick licensing that is right for your needs. This is also where an MSP can help guide you toward the right licensing. All right, now for the fun stuff, securing Office 365. Okay, you've got a subscription and you've got licenses and your users are working away in email and Office 365. Are you good to go? Are you secure? Is your data safe? Well, if you haven't taken measures to secure your data, then it's probably not as safe as it could be, and you're much more open to attacks. So here's a list of common practices that will greatly increase your Office 365 security. As with any type of security, a multi-layered approach is what's recommended. Locking your house doors is good security, but locking your doors and having a security camera is better, right? So we take the same approach, excuse me, to securing Office 365. We recommend you utilize several, if not all, of these security practices and features. And when combined together, they make you much less vulnerable to attack. So let's start off with passwords. We need to make our users have, excuse me, difficult to guess and complex passwords. Should be at least 8 characters and include complexity such as numbers and symbols, uppercase and lowercase. Don't make it the same password you use for your personal accounts. And what may seem counterintuitive, you'll want to set these to never expire. So for the longest time, we've been told to change our passwords and to change them often, and we'll be more secure. But what they found over time is people don't keep up with their ever-changing passwords. And what do? They put them on the Post-it note, they tape it to the monitor, they add a number 1, number 2 at the end of the password, just keep recycling the same password. So what it really does is lessen security, not enhance it. And Microsoft themselves are now saying that they recommend you set passwords never expire, but also add another layer of security, such as multi-factor authentication. Multi-factor authentication, sometimes called two-factor authentication, ties your Office 365 account to your mobile device. This means that when you sign into your account, a push is sent to your phone for you to approve or deny the sign-on. And because your account's tied to a mobile device, it makes it much more difficult for an attacker to get access to your email, even if they somehow acquire your password. If for some reason you don't want to secure all of your mailboxes with multi-factor authentication, then at least secure the admin accounts. These are your global admin accounts, your SharePoint admin accounts, billing admin accounts, Exchange admin accounts, because these accounts can cause the most damage if they're compromised. So you really want to make sure these are as secure as you can make them. So setting up multi-factor authentication is really easy, very simple to set up. Microsoft made it really easy. You can set up the entire office at once. You can set up people in groups of, in blocks of people, or just a person at a time. So with multi-factor authentication, you set it so that it contacts your phone either by a text or some sort of push code when you try to sign into the Office 365 services. You can choose how you receive your notification when you configure the account, and which method you choose is up to you. With the Microsoft Authenticator app, it will send a push to you, and you just tap the button approve if that's you trying to sign in. And that's all there is to it. Some people don't want to install an app when they on their phone, because maybe they don't have enough room on their phone, or maybe they use a personal phone to access company mail, and maybe they're not comfortable installing an app. So Microsoft gives you the ability to receive a text. So you sign into your 365 account, and a text will be sent to your mobile device with a code that you'll just type into the web browser to get access. You might not want to set up tie a specific mobile device to a shared account. So maybe you have multiple users who access a customer service mailbox. And if you were to tie the 365 account to a single device, the others would have trouble getting into it. So Microsoft gives us the ability to receive a phone call. So you could set it to call maybe the office phone. It'll call with a code, and then it gets passed along to you, whoever is trying to access that mailbox, and you can sign in. Oops. If you have an email client such as Outlook and it's an older version, say pre-2016, then it will require a one-time app password. This app password is generated when you set up multi-factor authentication, and it's to prevent Outlook from prompting you every time you open it. Newer versions of Outlook won't need app passwords, but if you have an older version, you'll definitely have to use that password. Another great way of securing your account is to only use admin accounts for administrative purposes. It's very tempting to make your regular 365 account an admin. It's very, very convenient, so you can make changes whenever you need to. But you should really only use dedicated admin accounts for administrative purposes. So your bob@mycompany.com email address is what you use every day. Shouldn't have any special roles. You should create special, unique admin accounts. Use those only when you're administering the Office 365 environment. And you should set those, again, if nothing else, to use multi-factor authentication. And this will be the most secure way to administer your Office 365 account. So user training is key to keeping a network secure. We've all heard the saying that a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And when it comes to securing computer systems, our end users are generally our weakest link. Teaching end users to look for common telltale signs of malicious email will greatly increase your email security posture. And we recommend regular training and testing, which will help users learn to recognize malicious mail and avoid it. There's a lot of great vendors out there that provide this sort of training. And what we found is just regular training and testing is key to keeping people on their toes. Global auditing should be turned on at the tenant level. This allows you to determine which files were accessed, manipulated, deleted, forwarded, in case there's some sort of incident. This sort of report will be extremely beneficial in a legal matter or if an event were compromised. You would want to know, what was accessed, what was done with the data, was it sent off site, manipulated in any way, or just, outright deleted. The Microsoft Secure Score can be found in the Security and Compliance Center. The Secure Score analyzes the security settings you have in place on your Office 365 account. It gives you a score, and it recommends changes to make to improve your security score. And of course, the higher your security score, the more secure you are. And as you can see in this example, the top two things you can do to increase your secure score is to implement multi-factor authentication. That's how important it really is. Once these big items, security measures are implemented, there's lots of other security items that you'll want to begin implementing. And here's just a few that we recommend implementing once these larger, security policies are put in place. As you can see, there's always another security layer that you can add. And it's just important, as all these options, as important as all of these are to implement, I just want to reiterate how important it is to train and test your end users so that they don't fall into the trap of thinking, well, we have all these security measures in place, I don't really need to be vigilant. They need to be vigilant. We want every link to be as strong as every other link. Lastly, in this webinar, we're going to talk about backup solutions. Do we even need to back up our data? I mean, it's on Microsoft servers, which are in the cloud, right? They have redundant data centers. One goes down, doesn't it replicate our data and our data is safe, right? Well, actually, there's a lot of debate on this subject in the industry. A lot of people say that you need a third-party backup because Microsoft doesn't back up your data. While others say, well, technically that's correct. You can back up your data using the built-in tools that Microsoft makes available. So which is it? Here's a portion of Microsoft service availability information where they themselves recommend using a third-party backup. There are a few reasons for this, but the biggest is Microsoft can have an outage that corrupts data. And then once it's replicated, it's toast. You'll want some way to get that back. With the built-in tools, there's may not be a way to do that. So let's look at what Microsoft has to offer as far as backing up using the built-in or native tools. So Microsoft doesn't have a built-in tool per se for backup, but what they have rather is a bunch of policies and features that you can turn on and configure that together make it possible to retrieve your data. In my experience, these are complicated to implement and time-consuming to recover from. Looking at our examples here, you can use retention policies to change how long data is kept. The default retention policy for deleted mailbox, for example, is 7 days. You can delete a mailbox and 7 days goes by, the mailbox is purged, it's gone. There isn't a way to get it back. You can increase this up to 14 days, and that'll help lengthen the time you can recover from. SharePoint and OneDrive use what's called versioning. This is a way, it allows you to keep 500 versions of a file. And while it sounds like a lot, you have to remember that Office 365 is continually saving versions while you're working on them. So you can quickly make your way through this safeguard pretty fast. Going back to the retention policies, if you delete an email from Outlook, you can recover it generally within the 14 days. After that, it's gone. Suppose you notice an email that is very important is missing and it's been 30 days, you're probably not getting it back. Preservation lock can be set to prevent anyone, even admins, from intentionally or accidentally deleting documents. That's a good safeguard. Litigation hold can be implemented so the contents of a mailbox are never actually deleted. Litigation hold requires more than the basic Office 365 licensing. So if your backup plan were to put every mailbox on litigation hold, you would have to ensure that every mailbox has at least an E3 or an E5 license, which means you're paying more per month, every month. Due to the cumbersome nature of setting up the native policies and added cost of licensing, it's my opinion that third-party backups are the way to go. Like a traditional backup, third-party software allows more granular restores. If you need to go back 6 months to retrieve an email, it's quick and easy. If you accidentally delete 500 emails, you can restore them quickly, and this restore will retain your file structure, something Office 365 doesn't do. If you recover 100 emails from 365, you'll get the content back. You won't get the structure back. So if you had subfolders and subfolders, you would get all those emails back, but they'd be in one giant folder, and you'd be left to sort those back the way you had them. There's a lot of established players in the market that do Office 365 backups. Among these are Skykick, Veeam, Axient, StorageCraft. These are long-standing traditional backup vendors who have added Office 365 to their backup services. Do you need to restore a calendar? Acronis can do that. Microsoft can't. Do you need to restore your contacts? Veeam can do that. Microsoft can't. As I mentioned, you can get very granular with what you need to restore with third-party software. Oh, did I mention it's easy? It's just like your traditional software. You got a great GUI. Setting up backups is easy, and looking at reports is easy. It provides very easy reporting, so you can see what's been backed up, if there were any failures, how often your data is backed up. With Office 365, you don't have any reports that tell you that anything was recovered or backed up. You just have to trust that the policies you set in place are working. And here's a list of our backups. I'm gonna slide behind, it looks like. The ease of use is probably one of the biggest reasons to go with third party. The knowledge that your backups are safe and you can prove it easily. So in summary, we recommend you add additional security layers to, as many security layers as possible to your Office 365 account, and include a third-party backup for recovery. And with that, I would like to conclude our discussion on protecting data in the cloud. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. That's, as usual, you did an excellent job describing everything. We do have a couple of questions, and I will invite anybody else who has questions to use the question feature at the bottom of the screen. But I want to go through just a few of these for now, and if we get another one that comes in, I'll add it to the list. Can you give us a quick explanation of this week's issues that have come up with Microsoft 365 and Teams, and what they mean to the average user out there, as well as their IT management? Sure,
and this is a good example. Even someone as big as Microsoft has, service disruptions, and this week's disruption caused issues with the ability to sign into Azure services. If you use Teams, you've probably noticed you may have had issues signing into Teams. Yesterday, I had issues signing into our customers' Office 365 accounts. They've resolved these issues, and as of today, I think the Azure sign-ins are fine. As far as implications go, I mean, it can be a service disruption, can be an inconvenience, as it was for us yesterday, or it can handicap a customer altogether. We have more than one customer who is fully in Azure, meaning their servers are in Azure, their apps are in Azure, everything's fully in the cloud. And the service disruption caused a severe disruption for them. They couldn't get to their servers, they couldn't get to their virtual desktops. So it can be a big deal. I haven't read up to see what Microsoft has done to fix it. I just saw the emails and the Twitter feed come through today. But this shows that even they can have a disruption, and where there's a disruption, there's potential for losing data. That's why we should be sure we're secured and backed up.
Excellent. I know that's become a big issue around our office so far this week, as we've had clients that are concerned, and one or two that have had some issues for us to deal with. So thank you for that question. Next question, Michael, relates to ransomware. How can Office 365 help me to avoid ransomware and what else might I need to do?
So the ransomware is being sent to try to trick your users into clicking on it so that a bad actor can gain access to their account. We've all heard stories that a CEO's account was compromised unknowingly to him. Emails were sent back and forth to accountant, and before anyone has caught on, wire transfers have been sent out and the company's lost money. So we really want to secure our 365 to minimize the likelihood of that happening. Phishing attacks are the most prominent way of trying to trick end users to click something, to give passwords. And the security features that we touched on certainly will go a long way towards helping that. But even with multi-factor authentication, even with other security policies, a lot of times it really does come down to end user training. That's why we stress the importance of it. It's very, very important to have your end users regularly trained on what to look for, what to be suspicious of, the telltale signs, what to do about it, and then test them. We work with a third-party vendor. We ourselves get monthly training. We ourselves get tested. And the test is the third party will send an email randomly to a select group of people, and it's random every time, to see if they click it. And if they click it, then we need to find out why they click it. Why didn't you recognize these signs? What do we need more training? So that really is a big line of defense as far as avoiding these malicious emails. Microsoft 365, it was on one of the previous slides under the additional security measures, offers portals to set up anti-phishing, anti-spam settings, so you can configure policies that will also help prevent these from coming in the first place. But no system is perfect. That's why we recommend all these different layers, because one layer may fail, but then another layer may catch it.
Excellent, Michael. I know that that's something that we've been working with around here too. Ransomware is always right around the corner as soon as someone clicks the wrong link or goes to the wrong site. So good to know that we've got some help there. We do have, it looks like, one more question, and it's relating to OneDrive. And the question is, I know I can use OneDrive to back up personal files, but how can I use OneDrive in a business sense to take care of data on PCs in the office?
All right. So, a lot of customers of ours will do that. You can have a personal OneDrive, just like you're saying. You can, sync up whatever you want, but you can also sync a corporate account to it. So you can have multiple OneDrives synced to your computer. I sync several folders from our servers to my OneDrive so that, when I'm away, I've got that data. And you will just sync it the same way you would a personal one. It'll appear in your Windows Explorer rather than maybe, Bob Jones OneDrive. It'll say, your company OneDrive, and they'll be split up, and then you can choose which one you want, what folders you want to sync. So it operates just like a personal. And we all know that end users tend to store things on their desktop, and they probably shouldn't. We want them to put them in their drives or SharePoint. So a corporate OneDrive is a good way to help back that up, so to speak. And if a user leaves, it's really easy to give a different user access to that corporate OneDrive, or maybe they don't leave. Maybe they just need to share it for whatever reason. It's easy to send links, to other users in your corporation to this folder in your corporate OneDrive. So definitely good tools to take advantage of.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. That's all the time we've got today for the presentation. Michael, we appreciate your help. As always, TCS is here to help you. Many of you are probably already on OneDrive, and maybe we've covered a few things today to give you a little bit of idea moving forward. If you're not on Office 365 or Microsoft 365, feel free to reach out to us. We can provide you some direction or guidance around that. And as always, we do the corporate overviews or your assessments of your organization to see if something like of MS 365 might make sense for you. So thank you for being with us today. We will post this presentation to YouTube probably sometime later this week. If anybody wants to take a look at it, please feel free to send that link to others in your organization or people you know that have questions. And feel free to use the number on the screen to give us a call. Again, Michael Brown doing the presentation. My name is Andy Purcell. Feel free to call and ask for me if you'd like more information. And we'll look forward to seeing you the next time for our next webinar. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Thank you.